Hello, I'm Thomas Grillo. Welcome to my fifth installment of the Theremin lesson series. I'm going to cover a very interesting method that I've found for playing in nonlinear fields of theremins. If you've ever noticed how difficult it is to play, say, the Etherwave Standard or the even more challenging D3 theremin, it's because the fields on these types of theremins are nonlinear, meaning that the notes are not evenly spaced. I've covered that in another episode, but in more detail I'm going to cover precisely how to get around the problem of nonlinear theremins. It's not a foolproof method, but it works. It's a neat little technique, and basically what we do is we compensate for the nonlinearity by using a different type of method, especially nearest the zero beat zone on the Etherwave Standard, where the notes are very close together, say in the last two octaves, the lowest two octaves. And the way we do that is instead of using a traditional method of going to and from the antenna, regardless of what method you use, either the alternating knuckle extensions or Ike method, we direct our hand such that when we're at our maximum extension from position 0 to a full octave jump at, say, position 9, you still get an octave jump, but our hand is positioned so that our fingers are parallel with the field lines of the field surrounding the antenna. If you can imagine layers like an onion that's been cut in half, you can see the layers of the magnetic field, each layer in this case representing an octave approximately. And if you'll notice that the fingers at maximum extension are parallel to this field. And just to give you an example of that, I'll just play a couple of octave jumps. I'm not tuned. Still not tuned. We'll check for there we are. It's still very difficult to play in the lowest octaves of the Etherwave Standard because the notes are so close together, just any little instability can throw you off a bit. But if you try playing that in the normal method, say going directly to and from the antenna, you can easily overshoot. It's almost impossible to play that lowest octave of the Etherwave Standard unless you try to compensate for that nonlinearity. Even I don't get that quite right. And notice I don't always move my hand out further like you would normally if you were doing a jump. I tend to, in the lowest two octaves of the Etherwave Standard, when I get ready to go to another jump or reset, I just move my hand just a little bit towards the antenna. Just like that. And that's because the fields are so close together there. Once you get past those first two octaves, then you can go back to whatever method you were using along a horizontal path. But once you get into the higher ranges of the instrument, then you want to compensate by using a diagonal method. And you don't have to move your entire hand up diagonally. You can if you want. But it makes it a little easier if you just use Ike method. Only instead of bringing your hand down like this in this range, you just let your fingers point up at I guess a 45-degree angle. If you try that in a conventional method, eventually you could get around that with a lot of practice, but using a kind of a diagonal method going up, you're putting a little more distance between each note and forcing the field to be a little more linear for you. And that's how we get around nonlinearity. The other thing that I want to point out that makes it a little bit easier playing higher notes, particularly close to the antenna on either the Etherwave Standard or the B3, is if you notice my fingers, my first knuckles are just about in line with the antenna when I get up to those higher notes. And it just makes it easier to nail those notes which are otherwise so close together you overshoot in many cases on the nonlinear theremins. Well, I hope this helps, and I look forward to seeing what you have to offer someday. I hope to see you in concert. Thank you, and have a good day.